Hey everyone, my name is the Theme Park Evangelist. I actually meant to film this way earlier. Unfortunately, very early Monday morning at 5:30 in the morning, I was in the process of trying to get metal pans with bags of eggs in them out to get ready for the guests because I was learning day two of the kitchen or breakfast attendant, and somehow the metal pan got pushed way too far back into the oven, and I'm not very good at getting metal pans or any kind of small pan or whatever out of the oven when it's that far back. So I was really struggling, and because I knew I only had till Thursday to learn the entire kitchen before I had taken on by myself, I forced myself to try to get out without asking for help because I figured I was going to get yelled at or whatever, and it was just going to make me feel bad. So I'm just like, I've got to do this. I'm 31. I can't be asking for help all the time, even though I feel like that's silly. And I end up injuring myself, and because of that, I'm no longer allowed to be in the kitchen anymore. Maybe that's a good thing because the kitchen was not meant for me. And I even told them straight up, I loved the opportunity. I loved cooking. I loved cleaning. The time restraint and the safety issues were definitely a concern of mine, and they took that very seriously. And that's why they decided to go ahead and remove me. I ended up going home, and I was just groggy all day. I think a lot of that just had to do with the accident. Um, Going from sleeping in till whenever till to basically having to get up at 3:45 in the morning, and I hadn't done that in 6 months. And don't get me wrong, I did tell my managers finally the honest truth, which was, yes, I did work at Chick-fil-A, which I'm actually going to be talking about here shortly. Yes, I did work for Disney. However, though, I did not actually cook food like they thought I did. So I basically told them that I was primarily serving food. Yes, I admit that I did um, work with like topping the nachos and putting nachos in plates, and I did put like hot dogs on buns. I did try to learn the kitchen when I first worked for Disney, but even they discovered relatively quickly that I was really struggling being around the ovens, and they very quickly put me on register and counter. And I basically told my managers that I said I was primarily working on the register, taking people's orders for food. I also said that I was on the counter serving food, serving alcohol. I said I was a bartender. I said that's where my strength is. I mean, anything dealing with customer service, I'm extremely good at. I mean, yes, I might mentally shut down a little bit here and there, but if you just, push me in the right direction, I can do it. I know I can because I've been doing it a very long time. That I can safely tell my managers I have tons of experience in. So just if you don't mind praying for me and the whole job thing, just the whole transition from going from having help to eventually being by myself on the front desk, which is long overdue because I'm good enough at the front desk that I can do it by myself, and I've done it by myself, and I, excuse me, I know I can. That's the funny thing. I know that I can do it. I know what I'm doing, and I'm comfortable with it, and that's the even better part. So, anyway, we're down to the last two vlogs of the history of the theme park evangelist, believe it or not. And then we're going to be starting when I get back from Canada a brand new YouTube series on whatever you call it. Oh, yeah. How we can stay faithful to God even during tough times. And I think that will really help, especially with all the tough times I've been going through lately. And everybody goes through tough times. So not just me, it's everybody. Not everybody is as outward or vocal about it as I am, but everybody goes through tough times, don't get me wrong. And I'm actually filming this at 12:30 in the morning on Monday, November 19th. However, though, I am going to be recording this. I mean, not recording this, but I'm going to be uploading this at 8 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, November 19th. If I said October, I meant November. I'm sorry. I'm actually leaving a week from today for Canada. So next week's vlog I have to do on time because of the fact that Tuesday is going to be a little wild. A week from today, that is, because next Tuesday is going to be the day I'm going to be filming the Homewood 2 Suites. However, though, it does not get uploaded until Wednesday. So the original plan for next week was to stay at the Homewood 2 Suites in Florence and then the Homewood 2 Suites in Kitchener, Ontario. I'll go ahead and tell you guys that things change, and it's not because I go and talk about it on YouTube or whatever. I mean, sometimes things just come up. So I'm at Walmart on Monday, right? Last Monday, to be more specific. It was my birthday, and I was really tired, and I remembered just being really hungry, and I'm literally like, okay, well, what do I want to do? I obviously can't go to a buffet. I got to be at work at 1 o'clock, and I'm dressed up all nice because I was on the front desk that day, and I obviously knew that I couldn't do anything too crazy. I wanted to go get my free drink from Starbucks, my free birthday drink, but at the same time I was like really hungry. So I decided to go ahead and go over to the Walmart deli, and I'm standing outside, and out of nowhere my cousin Michael messages me. And he and I got talking, and he started asking me, so where are you and Katie staying when you first get here? Because we're going to go up and see her Nana and Papa, her Scottish relatives, before we go up to Wyville, Ontario. And I told him I had plans for us to stay at Homewood 2 Suites in Kitchener, Ontario, and I sent him a screenshot of everything that he needs to know. So he basically puts it to me like this. Long story short, you could stay there, or you could stay with me. I charge a lot less, and then he did a winky emotion. I knew what he meant. For those of you who don't know my cousin Michael, and I don't expect any of you to know who my cousin Michael is unless you're a relative of mine. More or less, my cousin Michael was referring to, in his silly way, that he was not going to charge me or Katie whatsoever to stay with him for a couple of nights, or as long as I needed. And it's because he's family. And, I talked to Katie about it, and we made the decision that based off of our tight budget, it was probably best that we go ahead and stay with him for a couple of nights. And we'll just, buy what we need to at a grocery store and take it over to this place to make sure Katie has something to eat. And maybe me as well, but I'm also sure that Michael and I can eat something too. So that's how we're going to start off the trip, and we'll just go from there. So you guys probably saw that I started up my Christmas vlog. So Saturday night, me, Katie, and my parents went down to the Boone County Fairgrounds to vlog Light Up the Fair. And I decided to have it uploaded on Sunday morning so that way I could go back to having a Sunday vlog again for a change. Obviously, I don't have a lot of views yet because I'm still working on the whole copyright issues. I'm always getting blasted for that. And it didn't help that my dad was blasting the music for everybody to hear. And it was a Saturday night, so not that anybody was really noticing. And then As far as what was also going on for my YouTube channel for Christmas, I got one more vlog for you guys, Lord willing, depending on money, and now my schedule because of the injury that took place yesterday morning, because I'm speaking in past tense here. I basically am, as of right now, planning on vlogging the Kentucky Horse Park thing either Friday night or Saturday night. I'm not sure yet. That's the current plan. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens. It really just depends on my schedule. Obviously, I'm not going to ask my managers to do me any more favors in that sense because, I leave in a week. And they got to give me as many hours as they can give me before I leave. So we'll make it work. Lord willing before I go, but worst case scenario after I get back. But yeah, I definitely am wanting to show you guys the lights for sure at the Kentucky Horse Park. I think you guys will really enjoy that for sure. They are something else. But anyway, other than that, there's just a trip to Canada, and you guys will see that when you see it. So let's go ahead and talk about what it was like working at the airport at Chick-fil-A finally, without going into too much detail, because apparently they watch my YouTube channel and there are certain things they don't like me saying. So we're going to go back about 6 months ago, give or take. I was actually working at the Creation Museum, and I started looking around for a full-time job. It really helped that every single job I applied for, I was basically like, look, I need full-time, I need full-time hours, I can work any day, and even weekends. And during the spring, especially here in Kentucky, a lot of places are hiring. It's very easy to get a job. And the airport is usually starting to get really busy right about that time, so it was really easy to get a job at that point. And I actually knew a good friend, or a close friend really, that was working at the airport at the time. Sadly, he just moved away back in late October, though I actually got to see him his last day. Well, really, the 1st of November, but anyway. He was working there at the time. He had been there a year, and he had mentioned to me that I should come over there and get a job. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a really good idea. So I applied and I mentioned that to her, and she really liked what I said during the interview, and I was completely honest. And I admit I struggled during when I first started, but after a while, I started opening up and becoming more myself, and I started finding it easier to be myself at work. And usually, when I first start at a place, I always find it's easiest to be myself during the interview, and then the first couple of months, I'm like, oh my. But like by now with Hilton, I would say I'm starting to come out of my shell because I've been at the same hotel for almost 3 months now. So it's getting to that point where yes, I am getting more comfortable. I can talk to almost anybody, and that's kind of how I was feeling at Chick-fil-A after almost 3 months. So after I did the whole interview thing, they basically hired me on the spot. I was like, wow, this is excellent. 17 an hour, believe it or not. And that's actually how much the Houston Road location, Florence, Kentucky, is going to be paying when they reopen, whenever that is. Oh, speaking of Chick-fil-A, they just started selling their peppermint shakes again, so I got to get back over there and go get me a peppermint shake. Even if I have to wait till I get to Canada, so definitely on my radar for sure, because it's one thing I love about having my birthday in November. Peppermint shakes at Chick-fil-A, you can't go wrong. And that just started yesterday on Monday, believe it or not. So sick. Anyway, I literally waited until I got an email with documentation that I had to fill out for becoming an airport employee, because this Chick-fil-A was in the airport. I had to fill out this paperwork, and trust me, this was a very rigorous process. It was not as easy as I thought it would be, and I literally filled out all this paperwork. But get this, I accidentally left it at part of it at home because I was accidentally told in the email I only need to bring this, this, and this, and then just bring this, this, and this the first day. So actually, what they really wanted was all of it all at once, and they wouldn't process anything until I got everything turned in. So I literally drove all the way back to my parents where I was living at the time, grabbed the rest of the paperwork, brought it back with me, and turned it in. I mean, they offered to let me fill it all back out again. I was like, oh, don't worry about it. So I literally drove home, got it, turned it in. They let me come back there. I did my fingerprints on one of those electronic fingerprint scanner things. And the only reason why I was allowed back there, by the way, is because they knew I had official paperwork, and I didn't just get that email by accident. I was sent that by the manager. You don't get that paperwork by accident. And they don't just let anybody into this area. And also, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I had to go to the ID office, which is in the airport CVG main hub, and that's as far as I'm going to go. And if you really want to know, you have to actually look it up yourself, and I'm going to leave it at that, because if I say too much, they will see this vlog, and they will prosecute me, and I do not want that. So yeah. So anyway, eventually I did get my background check cleared, and the background check can take up to 2 weeks, believe it or not. Thank God mine took about 3 days. I was getting nervous, believe it or not, because it was busy at the Creation Museum, but I also knew that I couldn't stay around forever if they knew I was going to be leaving soon, and they didn't really want to keep somebody around that wasn't planning on sticking around, especially when it was getting busy. So, if they're going to get busy, they're going to want people that are going to stick around. So it was a nerving time. And I'm like, okay, God, what do I do? And literally, right when I thought that I was going to give up hope, and I'm contacting United Concessions Group, what do I do? I finally got a email or a text message, I don't remember, it was like one of the two or both, from United Concessions Group saying that my background check had been cleared, and now I have to do an orientation. And I was like, well, that's cool. And I had to do this before I could go on to the next step. So I literally do this, I have to do this orientation, but the problem is I have to do it on their timetable. Now, here comes the next problem. My schedule's already out for the Creation Museum at the time, and they're already ready to get me, going right now. And I'm like, well, that's, all well and good, but... So I literally made it work. I literally got down to the wire, and I found a free day that worked with their schedule, and I was able to get the orientation done that day. So it was like literally in the middle of the day, and I had to go upstairs into my parents' room, and I took the 45-minute long orientation, no longer, no less. And then I was like, okay, great, now what do I do? And then I ended up waiting again. A lot of it, the time I was just waiting. and just working at the Creation Museum like normal, just not sure what was going to happen. And eventually I got contacted again saying I could now go back to the ID office and go get my SIDA badge. My SIDA badge basically gives me the ability to go into certain places of the airport, but still not every single place. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that. I still was not able to go through the employee entrance just outside I forget what it's called again. Right when you exit the airport from the train and the monorails, there is an employee entrance into the airport. I was really sure that I was going to be able to go through there, and I was like, nope. I found that out on my very first day. But yeah, I did find out that I was at least able to go through the TSA. But guess what? Just because I was an employee doesn't mean I was allowed to skip the TSA. I had to go through the TSA every single day. Anything I brought with me was subject to the TSA policies. If I had an ice pack, guess what? That got pulled aside for additional screening every single day. And I'll tell you guys right now, that was some of the most brutal 6 months, at least for that, ever. Because, I had to get myself up early enough just to wake myself up for work. Secondly, I had to drive down to an employee entrance, literally 15 minutes away from the airport, which I thankfully found out on my first day as well. And then I had to park my car. Then I had to walk to one of 3 employee holding areas, get on an employee shuttle that may or may not stick around and wait for you, get on this employee shuttle, ride it down to the employee shuttle drop-off area, walk inside, go upstairs, go through the TSA like everybody else does, and then I had to go all the way down to the end of Concourse B, go through an employee entrance or secret entrance just to get into the actual restaurant. It was rigorous, it was complicated, it was stressful, and it was long. But you know what? I did it 5 days a week, Tuesday through Saturday. Basically the same schedule. But I also was never guaranteed to go past the same TSA agent. Yes, I had friends at the TSA, but that doesn't mean that, they were going to do me any favors. I mean, the most they did for me was bake me cookies on my last day. And I thought that even spoke volumes. But honestly, other than that, do you think that they bent any federal law policies just because I was their buddy? Of course not. Because not only could I end up in federal prison, they could end up in federal prison. And I did not want that. So before I even filmed this like a long time ago, when I came up with this topic, I already knew way ahead of time I was going to be very careful about what I told you guys. Because, working at the airport is cool, but at the same time, there's just so many things you cannot say. And there's a lot of stuff I even want to tell my own parents, my own brother, but I couldn't. And it drove me up a wall. Do you think I want to tell Katie? Of course I do. Can I tell Katie? I can't even tell her. My own future wife, I can't even tell her. It's all bottled up in here. And it's going to stay like that unless I get my memory taken away from me for whatever reason, which would be very amusing. That will be the day. I cannot wait to get a haircut. And in the next couple of hours, I promise you guys, actually not even a couple of hours, 1 o'clock this afternoon, I actually have a haircut appointment with Caitlin, my barber. This is Caitlin that you guys have never seen before. She's about my age, and she's very nice. I see her once every 2 months. She is a good friend of mine and Katie's. It was actually Katie who introduced me, and she always does a really good job. $25 just for her to cut my hair, but it's well worth it. I mean, I would much rather go see her. And not only does she spend an hour and she takes her time, but we always have a great conversation. It's personal, and she gives me a free shampooing too. I mean, come on, you can't go wrong with that. And I'm hooked up to the free Wi-Fi, so I'm like, And on top of that, she has a Keurig, so um, yeah, it's kind of nice, and I'm allowed to just bring in whatever. It's not like going to Great Clips where it's like what $20 now, and yet I'm literally out in like what 15 minutes, sometimes 20, depending on the barber. And you may or may not have a chatty barber. Sometimes you go into Great Clips, and you might have like that one barber who's just like back there, cut, 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 and sometimes they're just like, and they just want to hurry up and just get you off of that chair and just collect your money and just be gone. And my barber is not like that at all. She's very patient, and we just keep chit chatting even when I'm paying her, and every single penny I pay her is actually going to her. And that's another reason why I like going to her, is because I know for sure that my barber is getting 100% of the profit. Because if you think about it, if you go to Great Clips or even Sports Clips for that matter, where do you think all that money is going, excluding the tips? To the company itself. The tip money is actually going to the stylist. I feel so bad for the stylist. They're making literally hourly wage and tip money just to survive. But, somebody like Caitlin that I've been seeing for several months now, she is making a crap ton of money. But at least she is able to set her own prices. She's able to decide what she wants to buy for her studio. The only expenses she has other than her supplies is the rent for her suite. So, yeah, it's kind of nice. And apparently, she cuts a friend of mine from True Song his hair. If you guys actually knew who True Song was, I would start naming their names, but I'm not going to waste your time with that. So, long story short, with Chick-fil-A, what it was actually like working there, you kind of heard the airport story. I got a few more minutes left before 1 o'clock while I'm filming this. I don't know what time it is while you're watching this, but because I'm filming this in the past. It's so confusing. But I love the scheduling option. It saves me so much time because I'm not gonna lie, my life gets really crazy, but I gotta find time for YouTubing. It's just who I am. But yeah. Anyway, once I got to actual Chick-fil-A, I clock in, and near the end there, they were having us take our photo, and it was just the dumbest thing in the world. I was like, really? And I just basically just go, I can take whoever's next, and I was pretty much just hanging out on the breakfast menu, and a customer would walk up and go, I'll take whatever this is, and sometimes I admit I had to ask, do we have this? Do we have that? And I can even tell my managers straight up, when I worked at Chick-fil-A, it took me quite a while to get into my head that before I can even have the next customer just walk up and I could start taking their orders or their order, I had to literally remind myself to pull away from my register. I used that term a lot when I was working there. I called it pull away because I literally had to like pull myself away from the register and go make their drink. And it kind of drove me crazy after all because it was just so frustrating. I have to constantly leave and go make drinks. When I wasn't pouring soda, I was pouring coffee. When I wasn't doing that, I was making vanilla cold brews and regular cold brews, and I had to make them all kinds of different ways. I had to make milkshakes. I had to make like 3 or 4 different milkshakes. I had to pour lemonade. I had to pour tea. I had to pour Arnold Palmer's, if you guys, as you guys should know, lemonade and tea mixed together. I had to pour diet lemonade. Anyway, you get the point. And sometimes I would even get those people who would walk up and go, I want one of those frozen lemonades or whatever. And I literally had to learn up to 50 different drink combinations. And that was and that was 50 at the minimum. And I know there were more at least. And I was just like, oh my word, wow. Like, this is nuts. And that was my job. I was constantly pouring drinks. I was constantly moving quickly. I could not go slow. I was trying to pour through the line. Like, our line almost seemed to never end. We were raking in thousands of dollars a day. It was ridiculous. I mean, sometimes we weren't doing well and people had to go home. Sometimes even I had to go home. Yeah, Mr. Moneymaker himself had to go home early because we were just not doing well in the budget. It was pretty sad. But I was still making a crap ton of hours. I was making all this overtime. And nobody ever wanted to work the front of the house. I mean, there were days when I was just up there by myself. There were days when I was up there with one person. And honestly, that happened quite a bit. When we actually had at least 4 or 5 people up there, I didn't know what to do with myself because I'm so used to having nobody up there. I was so used to having to call out orders, take orders, and make drinks. And sometimes I had to do all the above all at once. Sometimes we had to pull people from the back of the house to come up front and help us because it was so nuts up there. And there were days when I didn't think I was ever going to get a break, and there were days when I didn't get a break at all. I don't know how I survived. A lot of what I drank was I would grab a. I am so sorry. Anyway, I know you couldn't tell, but you're probably wondering like, what is he talking about? I was trying to close a window and it wouldn't close, so that was very frustrating. But yeah, I was literally grabbing the large styrofoam container, filling it up with ice, and then I would fill it up with mostly water and put a little diet lemonade in it. I admit it. When I was there, I was rebellious. I'm rebellious in my own job too. I've always been that way. I admit there were things I was doing I shouldn't have been doing, and at first management wasn't caring, and near the end they started caring because they had to. And it was very difficult to adapt to the new rules, and I'm just like, what happened? I mean, I started seeing a lot of changes near the end, and when they finally started changing other things that should have been changed a long time ago, I was literally so burnt out. I mean, not just from working too much, but not being able to use the restroom when I needed to, not getting water when I needed to, and then on top of that, the worst of all, I was tired of constantly being told that things were going to get better, and I felt like they weren't. And I was like, I'm done. And even though they kept insisting, oh, things are going to get better, I had been told that and told that and told that for a month, maybe 2. And I felt like things were just getting worse. And I was so frustrated, and I was getting angrier every single day. I will tell you guys right now, I had the worst anger problem when I was working there. My anger problem is no longer there. Right now, I'm just discouraged because I'm not making a lot of money right now, but my health problems are gone. My anger problems are gone. I mean, yes, I still get angry once in a while, but not like every single day. I'm not like constantly feeling like I'm going to erupt like a volcano all the time. Yes, sometimes my current job does get me a little angry. I will not deny that, but it is nowhere as bad as I was getting at the airport. I mean, I was literally going on my break angry. I would often have to even step out in the hallway angry. I was going to the restroom angry. I mean, just feeling this inner rage just flowing through me every single day, constantly, was driving me crazy. And I mean, that was the best way to put how I was feeling that job. And I want to share this final thought with you guys. When I finally put in my 2 weeks notice, I finally felt a sigh of relief. But nowhere, nothing can compare to the relief I had when I clocked out for the last time. And even though half of them didn't care, just knowing I was gone, knowing that I was on my way to go turn in my airport badge and I was going to go see David Crowder in concert in just a few hours was amazing. And I love that. And my life has been so much better ever since. Yes, wish I could be making more money. Yes, I miss making over $1,000 every 2 weeks. Yes, it stinks that I'm only making a little over $1,000 a month, and it's hurting because I was making basically almost $3,000 a month, and now I'm making just a little over $1,000. I mean, it was, quite a shock. I was actually saving up a lot for this wedding. I felt like Katie and I were actually going to get somewhere, but Katie will even tell you guys we hardly ever saw each other. When we did see each other, I was falling asleep. My weight problem was getting out of control. If my weight problem is bad now, it's only because I'm allowing it to. It's not because there's nothing I could do about it. I basically completely dropped out of karate. At least I'm going once a week. Sometimes I might have to miss a week because of other stuff that might come up. Like I went to karate tonight, but I didn't participate because well, I shouldn't say tonight, but I went last night and I didn't participate because I couldn't because I had injured myself that morning. But if I hadn't, I would have been out there participating. Even if I had no clue what I was doing, I still would have been out there participating because it was important to me to be out there. Anyway, I'm looking at the timer down here on the bottom, and I'm looking at the clock on my bottom right too. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, we're at 38 minutes, and I'm sure you guys noticed that. So we got one more of these, I promise, and we're done. The History of the Theme Park Evangelist YouTube series is done. And the next one is, or the last one really, is going to be about why I'm even taking Katie to Canada in the first place. And, oh my, 2 inches of snow on Thursday. Yeah, I'll see it to believe it. 2 days from now. So when I see you guys next week, I'm going to be just basically talking to you guys about like why this is such a pivotal moment in a relationship, taking Katie to Canada, and we'll go from there. So I will see you guys in the next vlog, which Wednesday I have just a random vlog. I haven't figured it out yet. Just vlog whatever, and yeah, we'll go from there. Well, always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great night. Peace out.